Need your pressure washing supplies fast? PPW Express brings you top brands, always in stock, and a mobile app that lets you order in seconds. Enjoy same-day shipping on every order placed before 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. Download the PPW Express app today.
Stand out with custom gear from DAB Marketing. No design fees, no minimum orders. Just premium sublimated shirts built for the service industry. Look professional, look sharp. Get your gear from DAB Marketing.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, happy Thursday and happy New Year to everybody. I'm Anthony here with Trudy. We got a special guest on with us tonight. Sorry it took so long for us to get back. We took a couple of weeks off to just refresh ourselves and everything, but we're going to jump in here and get going. We're running a little bit behind tonight, but we got Caleb at Stain and Seal Expert. Is that correct?
Yeah, Caleb over at Stain and Seal Experts. That's it.
Stain and Seal Experts. And they got an event coming up, and we're trying to nail them down to get them to come to the Panhandle event in November to do some wood restoration training and cleaning and sealing stuff, and which we do carry their products down there at the Panhandle warehouse. So jump in here, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business, and we'll just go from there. Maybe somebody.
All right. All about me tonight, huh? Well, this is
all
fun.
about you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you all bringing me on the show. I know your time's important, so thanks. My name's Caleb Roth. I'm based in Nashville, Tennessee, and I grew up in the fence business, and I got tired of being broke, I guess, and I decided I was going to start staining fences on the side, and that business took off. And somewhere along the way, I decided I had this, this great idea that I'll just make my own stain. How hard could that be? And so,
how hard was that?
Yeah,
just a drop in a bucket, right?
Yeah, that was around 2017. I did that. I started staining in 2012. So, anyways, started using our stains, and I was too broke to afford marketing or advertising, so I just did live. Well, this was before live. I did recorded videos live on job sites and just showed what I'm doing. Here's the project we just finished. Here's what we're doing. Here's how to stain a fence. Here's how to clean a fence. I wanted customers to know that I was the expert in their marketplace, so they would hire me to do their job. And apparently a lot of other contractors were watching, and they kept asking what stain I was using. And I said, well, it's stain that I make for myself. And more I got requests to buy it. And so we started selling stain. And so that kind of grew into a whole nother company, and a much bigger company than our service business even. And we own a manufacturing company where we manufacture wood restoration products. So we do wood restoration chemicals, cleaners, brighteners, strippers. We do natural bug additives. We do fence and deck stains, log home stains. And we have a pre-finishing lumber company. So we sell, so a lot of guys, I don't know if they're too lazy or don't want to do the staining themselves. So we sell lumber that's already been stained. But our event that we're doing is it's all about education, just like your event. And we've done that since 2019. And we feel real strongly about, or I personally especially feel real strongly about, the staining business was exactly what I needed. And maybe it's a power wash business, maybe it's some kind of other business for other people, but I needed some way to change my trajectory in life and take better care of my family. So I started staining, and I didn't have any resources. You couldn't, all of it. If you remember, maybe 15 years ago, if you looked up what a wood brightener was, nobody would tell you, right? The people that knew, but they were sealed lips. And that made it really hard for me. And so I just thought I would be the guy that tells everybody the secrets of the industry, which weren't really anything secret anyways. But we educated people. Here's the opportunity. Here's how you get into business. Here's how you build relationships to get referrals. Here's how you quote jobs. Here's how you actually do the job, the application. Here's how here's how you grow your business. And so that's what we do. That's our primary means of getting the word out about what we do. And we hope folks can, there you go. Yeah. We hope. I
never got mine.
Yeah. Well, you didn't pass the test, Yeah. So we do education and in hopes that it's going to change somebody's life, and also in hopes that they'll support us when they do start their business and get some of the products that we make. And so that's what we do. And it's been fun, and it's hopefully going to keep being fun.
So you pretty much somebody can call you that's wanting to just start, that's wanting to go into strictly wood restoration, doing fences or decks or whatever. They could just call you and you could get them on the pathway to righteousness and making millions of dollars. Correct?
There you go. That's
doing it correctly.
And doing it correctly.
Right. That's the main thing.
Well, sometimes we may talk ourselves out of work. So, you know, if a guy in the fencing business or the power washing business calls me and says, well, I'm trying to be the best power washer in the area. You know, I'm trying to grow multiple trucks, and they say, and we want to start a stain crew. Sometimes I have to have that conversation to say, if you're going to be the number one power washer in your area, you may want to focus on power washing only. If you try to take on this whole other thing, it's you know, he who chases two roots catches none. And so I like to be clear and upfront with that. There is a great opportunity in wood care on the restoration side and on the staining side. But there's also good opportunity in whatever business you're in. So if you're trying to, if you're already doing power washing and you're passing up a lot of decks and backyards that you're already in, we can teach you how to do that. We have YouTube channels. We face at, you know, Staining University that I saw the link up a minute ago where we do the in-person stuff. And then we got people, if you call us, pretty much everybody in our office has done it or knows how to do it. And so they can walk you through pretty much whatever problem you're having or help you get started. So
I tell you, I mean, we use your product. We use it on our deck, and we did use that bug repellent. What's it called? It's
Natural Defense.
Anyway, I tell you what, we do not have any of those mud daubers. We don't have any wood bees. We don't, or what? Yeah, I think they're wood bees called. Nothing. It is amazing. So I don't have holes in my new deck, which is amazing.
It repels iguanas too, but they wouldn't let me put that on the label. They said,
well, I don't have any up here.
I really wanted that on the label, but yeah, but that's just a blend of essential oils. It's literally the same kind of essential oils you would use for anything else, and it's a great alternative because the alternatives are pretty harsh poisons that you got to spray on your house. And I'm a pretty big proponent of trying to be as health conscious as possible when you manufacture stuff, because if a homeowner uses a product, they might use it once every 5 years, but a contractor might use it 5 times every day for 5 years. And so
they're inhaling all that.
Yeah. So the more we can do to make things a little more easy on the lungs, easy on the body, it's a good thing.
So we do have a question. So Adam Mazik, I think I probably butchered that, said, tell us why we should buy your product. What makes stainless steel experts a step above?
Sure. Yeah. So I would tell you, I wouldn't tell you to buy my product. I think we have a great product, and we have a huge body of proof with contractors that use it. I would say talk to someone who's used our product and used another product and get their take. But I will tell you what makes our product different. Most oil-based stains, we're in the oil-based business. Most oil-based stains contain somewhere around 5 to 10% oil. Our stain contains upwards of 90% oil. And what that means is most oil-based stains that contain very little oil and are still called oil, there's a lot of application issues you have, but they're also full of a lot of solvents. And solvents, for one, they evaporate. They're bad for the ozone layer, right? But they also smell awful, and you carry that around with you. You stain a fence or seal a driveway with something with high solvents. Your truck smells like it. Your car smells like it, and it's bad for your health. There's no debate. You can look up anywhere that VOCs are generally carcinogenic, and they can cause health issues, cancers, and things like that. And so we have limited that in our product. And so when you pop the lid off of our stain, what you're going to find is a thicker bodied stain. It's primarily very simple chemistry. It's oil and pigment and sealing properties. And so you're not going to have the evaporation. You're not going to have the odor. You're just going to get an old school oil stain that goes on the wood. And if you're a fence builder, it's great because it stops warping, cracking, and twisting. That doesn't really matter for guys in the power wash business, but it's a really big deal for wood owners. That's the number one reason construction guys get callbacks, is from warping, cracking, and twisting. So if we can oil that fence or that deck or that gazebo, whatever it is, when it's fairly new, we can make it look beautiful, but we can also prevent the warping, the twisting, the things that make it look bad and lead to failure. So
I'm gonna say what I found out when we were doing our deck is your stain is very forgiving.
mm-hmm.
Very forgiving. So if you overlap, you don't see the dart. It's very forgiving that way. So if you really don't know what you're doing, or you're a beginner, it's very, like I said, it's very unforgiving. You can spray over and you don't see, like, I feel like you can write your name on a fence and go over and it'll blend in.
Yeah, and a lot of guys make videos doing that. You know, I grew up in the fence business, so I know how to build a fence, right? I was not a painter or a stainer. And the thing about most water-based stains and most stains and paints, particularly transparent and semi-transparent stains, they're very difficult to use if you don't know how to use them. And so everybody's drove down the road and seen a fence with runs and lap marks all over the place.
Right.
And once you get those, it's almost impossible to get them out. Yeah. And so one of the things that makes our stain special is you literally get it on the wood and it levels itself out and does the work for you. So you can spray it, brush it, roll it. There's not going to be drip marks. There's not going to be lap marks. And on top of that, you can spray it over top of the gate hardware, metal. If you got a deck with metal railings, you just, once you get stain on those non-porous surfaces, you take a dry rag and wipe it right off.
Nice. So we've got a bunch of people asking, when is the event? Where is it at? And what is the other one is? No, there was something else. And what can people expect when they attempt?
Awesome. Yeah. So Staining University this year is right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. It's at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds. It is a brand new, beautiful. It's called the Made in Tennessee building, which is cool because our product's made in Tennessee. But it's sort of a blend of an expo, a educational, inspirational event, and a hands-on training. So when you come, first of all, you're going to be surrounded by people, 500 to 700 people that are in various styles of industry. There's going to be fence builders there, painters, power washers, people who
proud of that.
Yeah, people who just
I passed the test, you didn't. I'm sorry.
Right. There's going to be people in the industry there, both people who have been in it for 15 minutes and people who've been in it for 50 years. And there'll be people there from all over the country and hopefully the UK and Canada as well. I know we got some Canadians coming. And so you're going to be there with a lot of smart guys and ladies. So that's important. If you can just get beside someone who's 3 steps further down the road than you are, you can learn something from them and it can speed up your, if it took them 5 years to get there and you can get there, that's a big benefit. So it's a great networking event. Yeah. We got a lot of vendors that are going to be there. So we got Ford trucks, we got Graco Titan sprayers have verbally committed. So we should get them locked in very quick. Stain Paddle, Mr. Fence Tools is there. There's going to be a fence installation school going on simultaneously.
Nice.
And there's going to be hands-on wood restoration. There's going to be hands-on deck staining. There's going to be hands-on fence staining. There's going to be hands-on factory finishing, which is where you use a machine to finish lumber indoors. So for people that have, maybe they want to stain boards before they build something, or maybe they live up north where it's really cold or somewhere where it's really wet and they're limited. Their season's very limited. Indoor staining enables you to do work when it's raining, when the weather's bad. So there'll be all of that. So anything you want to see and touch and use and get your hands dirty, learning how to do it on our job instead of on a customer's paying job is always good. Nice. Then the classroom stuff. So the classroom stuff is going to be, we're going to get you inspired, right? There's going to be people there talking about their stories. There's going to be people that are big names in marketing, who are contractors who are having success in big ways with marketing. There's going to be, again, the Mr. Fence school is going on. So Sean King will be there. And if you're in the fence business, he's a wealth of knowledge. We're going to show you how to bid. We're going to show you how to bid up restoration jobs. We're going to show you how to bid staining jobs, fences, decks, give you some very concrete tools and booklets that you can take home with you to make bidding really simple. Because a lot of guys look at a deck and they go, that's about a $800 deck, right? We want to give you some concrete, repeatable methods so that you're making money and that you can be repeatable on your deck stain and make it so that you can let anybody quote a deck job. If you get these 3 measurements and here's our price, you can quote it, and I'm there's no concern. Also going to have some keynote speakers there. Their job is to get you excited, get you inspired, and things like that. So there'll be some of that there as well. And then of course there's going to be a whole room full of industry experts. We're going to get them up on the stage and let them talk and ask their questions. All the podcasters will be there. They'll be broadcasting podcasts live. And at night, we do a kind of like a campfire. We get around a big pavilion and got a fire, and we just hang out and network. And then, of course, a lot of the guys coming are getting big Airbnbs, and people are getting together and having a lot of fun that way, talking shop, after hours. A lot of the magic happens after hours usually. That's right. That's when the networking happens. So it's a great event to come to and learn and meet other people. And I tell you what, just personally going to different events, I've met people that are doing, millions and millions and millions, $50 million companies. And it's very difficult to call that guy on the phone.
Yeah. Right.
How are you going to get through his gatekeepers and through his busy schedule? But if you go to these events, you're going to find somebody, like I said, who's so much further along in business than you. And nobody hates from above, right? Everybody that's doing better than you are, they want to see you do better. And so those people are generally very, very generous with their time and with their knowledge, and they just want to see you win. So it's a great place to meet somebody who can help you get to that next level in business.
I know the first time I went up there, come up there with Trudy, and it may have been in 19. I don't know exactly when.
I know I got this. I'm not rubbing it in, but I got this one in 22, and I think I had another one because I'm quite sure I did the class twice. And
22. I don't think.
Yeah, it might be the one before because I got lots of things.
She's got the belt buckle too to go with
yeah,
that.
She got a little bit of everything, but it was.
I got a championship belt.
The teaching was it was phenomenal. I mean, there was people that come in there, they've done it for years. They knew what they was talking about. They was very inspiring, and it's upbeat, just keep you interested in it. You wasn't sitting there doing this.
Well, it's first of all, it's family friendly, right? So you don't, if you have to bring your family with you, it's safe. It's a good thing. Some events get a little rowdy. This one's a clean event. And, but yeah, we're, a lot of the biggest names in the business that you may know if you follow this industry are there, and they're showing you how they do their business, how they do the application, how they quote the problems that they've had and how they overcame them. And so, you get to go and be around people that really know what they're talking about, and it's super cool to be able to be a part of that. I learn something every year. I do it for me, right? Because I get to learn all this stuff too, right? So
well, we do the Panhandle. We do it for us.
You learn a lot.
So much. Like you've been in the industry a long time. I've been in the industry a long time, and I learn so much just by networking and just listening to other people because. We have our way that we do things, and then you go listen to somebody else and you're just sitting there and thinking going, well, I've been doing it wrong for 20 years. What the heck was I thinking?
Yeah.
And, I got the same job done, but I could have done it more efficiently if I would have known this. So, right. You can be in the industry a long time. You could have been, staining fences for years and then come up and go to the event or come down wherever you live. I would go up, but and learn something that you were like, oh man, that makes it way more easier and more efficient for me because nobody showed me this way. So the way they're doing is not wrong. The way I'm doing it is not wrong, but there's other ways that can be more efficient and make your life so much easier.
Well, a great example of that is a lot of times painters, will come to our staining event. And these people have been painting, 20 years. Let's just say you get a company that paints and we'll ask them a question, 250-foot backyard fence, normal backyard, nothing crazy. How long would it take your crew to do this job? And they say, maybe 2 days. And I say, my crew will do this job in 4 man hours. They'll be in and out in 2 hours. And it blows their mind. And then we show them the process. Product makes a big deal. It makes a big difference. But one question I asked a painter, I said, how long would it take your best guy to mask off these gate hinges and latches? And he said 30 minutes. And then I just sprayed right over them. And then we wiped them clean with a cloth. And he said, wow, that would, that right there saves us a ton of time. And so it's interesting to get around and see the way people do things. And you pick up a lot. And there's people there who've scaled their business. So a lot of guys are in the truck and they love that. They want to be on every job. Some people, they want to, They want to scale their business. They want to build something bigger, and you'll be there with people doing that. And so it really helps to talk to those people.
So you just said that you just take your stain and spray right over all the hardware and just wipe it off.
Yep. And that if you follow the staining industry, the guys that use oil base, that's an industry standard. You know, it's we just say we're oiling the hinges for free.
I was just gonna ask, does it
We're just gonna throw this in for free.
Yeah. I mean, there's no residue, and obviously you can't be sloppy. You gotta take pride in your work, but you can do that. There's a lot of things you can get away with oil-based stains. If you get it on a house or a car, it wipes off. If you wet concrete down before you stain and you get stain on the concrete, it rinses right away. And so there's a lot of things that we can show you how to do. A lot of cowboy tricks. I don't always recommend the cowboy tricks, but they're there and we can show them to you. And so there's a lot of things. You know, a lot of people don't stain. They kind of leave. They go, we know that money's there, but we're not going to do it because of the liability and the risk. And there's always one guy that said in 1988, you know, we stained a fence across the street from a Mercedes dealership and it got on 800 cars. And I say, well, you know, those things happen. There's risks in everything, right? But if you've got the right product and it does get on a car, you can get it right off with soapy water, right? And so
this stuff happens.
Stuff happens. But
I on a Mercedes, just something happens.
Yeah. So the point being is there's risks in every business. We can show you how to mitigate those risks and how to do a job and make a big difference for your company or for your family and do it in a business that's really underserved. You know, it's like if you look at the power wash or the fencing or the heating and cooling, those industries, they're really overran with venture capital money, private equity money. And so when those type of business, when that type of investors come into those businesses, it gets really competitive because the name of their game is to get work at any cost, because they don't care about the profitability. They care about the multiple of the company. And that has a lot to do with how many customers they have and market share and things. So for us being in the wood care industry, it's underserved. So it's hard to be the number one power washer your first year in business in your town. It's pretty easy to be the number one stain guy in your town after 12 months. So we feel like it's underserved, and it's a good opportunity for folks to get into. And we need more people doing quality work in the industry.
So what I love is you said wood care, because I have seen, you know, all over Facebook and all over social media about straight SH, 12%, just all over the wood, and high pressure just blast in, and I can see it just, I'm cringing, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, because, you know, a home is expensive, but so is the wood. I mean, I've seen fences that go on forever, and that's a lot of money to replace if you damage it.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people talk about damaging wood, and the problem really comes down to the extremes, right? If you put a good operator, if you put pretty much any chemical in their hand, bleach, any of the higher end restoration chemicals, or the paints or the stains, if you got a good person that cares about what they're doing and understands how to use it, you can do it. There's a time and a place. You know, maybe there's a grandma somewhere who's on a fixed income, and bleach may be the right answer, but there's a way to use it. Now you can't deny the results that you see instantly when you throw that hot batch on a fence. But problem is bleach is used to make paper, so it breaks down the lignin in the wood, and so you do wind up, if you go strong, with kind of damaging the fence. But the problem is most homeowners, they just don't know. They don't know any different. But there is a way to do it, and it's called trust the process. And bleach gives you that instant gratification, but it comes back, right? A lot of guys will bleach a deck, then they stain the deck, and then there's white spots coming up all over the deck. They can't figure out why. The chemical's still there. It's still working. So a lot of times when you do real wood restoration, you don't get the immediate gratification like you do with bleach, but you trust the process. And then when the wood's dry and you come back and look, it really does look brand new. It's not white. If it's pine, it's nice and golden yellow. If it's cedar, it's nice and red. And that's kind of the blank slate we want to put a really nice stain on. And the great thing, just like power washing for a lot of people, is recurring or reoccurring. So is wood care. You know, if you start staining fences or decks, generally you're going to want to wash that fence or deck every year. you're going to want to restain decks with a maintenance coat of stain every 2 years on the flat surfaces, and every 3 years on fencing. That doesn't mean we're completely stripping everything off and starting over. All we're doing is cleaning, dirt, debris, and we're just doing a second nice little maintenance coat on there. And people that care, they'll do that over and over and over. So if you can, if you get 100 customers and you can get 75 to repeat next year or the next year after that, you can really build your book of business, scale your business a lot faster.
So your chemicals, we carry them at Panhandle. So what is the difference between the wood cleaner and the eco cleaner?
Well, eco cleaner is, the name says it all. It's made up of sodium percarbonate, which is kind of an old school cleaner for your clothes, for carpets. They use it for oxygenating water in waters where fish are depleted of oxygen. It can be used for that. It creates oxygen, but it basically breaks down into a hydrogen peroxide type cleaner, and it works really well. It's great for people who have koi fish in their backyard or exotic plants, or they're really conscious about the chemicals you're using. It works.
Barry. Sorry, Barry's a plant.
So the eco cleaner works well, but it is our most mild and gentle cleaner. The wood cleaner is made up of sodium metasilicate, and you see a lot of guys selling it now, but sodium metasilicate is kind of the go-to for wood restoration guys, because it cleans fences, decks. It's a mild stripper. It'll remove some old coatings. And it's pretty safe to use. Well, I say pretty safe. It's not caustic like a caustic soda is, like some strippers that people use. So it's not going to burn your skin up. It's not going to kill everything. You want to be careful with it like anything else, but it's a good all around cleaner. So for general purpose, if you're only going to have one thing, I'd have the wood cleaner.
Okay. And then we've got Eric Umana said, what is your recommended process?
If he's talking about washing, the process is pretty standard, and most of you probably know it. We want to pre-wet wood. The reason we want to pre-wet wood is because generally, there's some of these companies that advertise like lifetime or 25-year warranty sealing, and they show a board cut in half and they show it's dirty all the way through. Well, we all know that's not the case. You take an old board and you sand it or you cut it in half, the wood's still new inside. So we don't need our cleaner going all the way through the wood. So we pre-wet the wood, get it nice and damp so that water soaks in. And then when we apply our cleaner, it's going to sit on the surface and it's going to work on the surface, the dirt and the UV damage on the surface. We're going to let that dwell. If we're just doing a basic cleaning, you're going to see instant results. If it's something that's really dirty, you're going to want to let it sit and dwell for a while. And you can take a stick, or if it's a deck, your boot, and you can just rub the finish. And if it starts to come away and you see clean wood, well, you know your dwell time's done. Then you want to wash it. I recommend a 40-degree tip on most things that you're restoring. So you're going to keep the wand, 6-8 inches away from a board. You're going to go with the grain of the wood. So if it's a fence and the boards are going up and down, you're going to go up and down. If it's a deck, you're going to go full length up. We don't want to do sections. We want to do a whole board at a time because we don't want lap marks. And if you're doing just a basic wash, you can use just a rinse tip or some kind of a soap tip or something. Just, not everything needs pressure, but the ones that do need pressure is the 40-degree tip. Once you wash it, you apply a brightener. The brightener does a couple things. It neutralizes the chemical. So the problem with a lot of these restoration chemicals for concrete or for anything with the high pH, every time it gets wet, it reactivates. And so if you're using a strong chemical like strong bleach on playground equipment during COVID, it'd rain and kids were getting burned up on it. The same thing happens with wood. So the neutralizer is going to neutralize the pH. It's basically going to make that chemical stop working forever. And also the brightener is going to bring back the natural color. So if it's pine, it's going to be a nice golden color. If it's cedar, it's going to be nice and pink. And so the big difference is if you throw bleach on something, it looks great wet, but when it dries, we know it's as white as a sheet of paper. When you do real wood restoration and you see the finished product, it looks like wood's supposed to look. So it'll turn you into a hero pretty easy. But that's pretty much it. There's a debate on whether or not to rinse the brightener. We rinse the brighteners because it's a granular powder. And if you get it on windows or you get it on something, that residue would be there. So we recommend once you're finished, start it, you want to keep the house wet, obviously, just like you would if you were doing a house wash or something, but rinse the house, rinse the deck, and pack your truck up and go to the next one.
So quick question, with SH, as you know, well, pressure washing, the temperature has a lot to do with the chemicals we use. So I
Yep.
think the 70 to 90 degrees is the perfect temperature for SH to work. Is that the same with your cleaning chemicals?
Yeah, to a degree it is. Obviously, chemicals work better when it's warm. Sodium percarbonate, you really should mix it in warm water, warm or hot. We get it as hot as we can get it. We mix it hot. The wood cleaners and wood strippers, particularly wood stripper, will make its own heat. But when you put it on wood, and let's say you're stripping an old stain off, it's going to go faster in July than it is in December, but it'll still work. And so we work all year round. Oil-based stains can be used in any temperature. So we can stain and seal and clean wood all year long, as long as, our pumps aren't frozen or something. And so we just understand that it's going to take a little longer. But if you do the little scratch test or the boot test, you don't wash it until it's ready. And once it's ready, you go.
So another question for safety reasons, the hydrogen peroxide, it pressurizes itself. Now, would the eco cleaner do that? Because I know with the hydrogen peroxide, I always tell them to release the cap so it doesn't explode to pump up. With the eco cleaner, is there enough of that product in there to self pressurize?
Yeah, I've seen that, but it's not something that's going to happen while you're using it. It would be something where if you left it in your truck and it got real hot or something, you might experience that. Our eco cleaner, the packaging has a little air hole in it, so the eco cleaner tends to it makes oxygen. So you put it in a container, it's going to want to bulge the lid or expand the bag out. So with a little hole in there, it fixes that. But that's.
But if they leave it in a pump up, and
Mix it up.
Yeah, that's what I said. If you left it in the truck for a long time, you could get some of that. But
if you're doing a fence and you leave it there for 5 minutes, it's not going to blow up.
No, I think what you're talking about is a really fast reaction. It's doing that really quick. The sodium percarbonate would be the only one that might do that. But the only way you're going to really run into that issue is if you've got the thing full and pumped up as tight as it'll go, and then you get a change in temperature or something, you could get some of that expansion.
And then we have a question from Derek. He said, what brightener do you recommend? Oxalic acid.
Well, we're always going to toot our own horn. We manufacture all the products, and one of the things, a lot of the guys that use our products, they comment and they say, I went to the chemical store and I bought a bag of sodium metasilicate and it did not work nearly as good as what we make. Well, that's because we don't cut anything down. We know there's 50 kinds of metasilicate. We know the right kinds to get, so we put the strong stuff in there, and that goes for all of them. So we recommend using our eco cleaner or wood cleaner or wood brightener that's made by Expert Stain and Seal. You can see that at expertwoodcare.com. But any kind of citric acid or oxalic acid will do the trick.
And we also carry your full line at Panhandle, so we've carried it since we opened. I think.
Yep, you go to expertwoodcare.com. You're right there on it. So.
Yep. So we only sell things that we use out in the field. We still have a wash company. Do we stain wood? We don't. We did our own, and my husband failed to. Well, anyway, let's just say he just got some stain all over our new concrete and sidewalk and driveway, but it's fine. But that's why we don't do it. That's not what we.
Well, you should have wet that concrete down first.
Well, I was.
That worked their concrete.
We have. So this is a common problem. Mm-hmm. I was talking to a guy today, and he said they were doing a deck in a backyard that had no grass. It was all concrete. And a dog that wasn't the homeowner's dog, somebody else's dog, ran through the backyard and knocked a bucket of stain over. We make a product called Cleanup. It's a degreaser. We don't market it in the power wash business. I think it's the best degreaser in the world. I think it cleans better than anything anybody got. But I'm a little biased, right? Yeah. But you spill a 5-gallon bucket of stain on fresh new concrete, this degreaser will remove it with no sign of it.
Wow.
And so that was the story he was telling today on an interview that we did. And it works. So even today, if your concrete's been stained for a couple of years, that degreaser will probably take it off. It's been there a while. You probably
to my list.
Yeah, you probably want to use a wire brush on that spot, but yeah, it'll probably come off.
Oh, not me. He's probably cleaning it.
Yeah, I know who's going to be cleaning it.
That's got some kind of, I think it's some kind of stain. I mean, paint stain or whatever in their parking lot. And I put everything in the world on it I could get off of there. So I'm gonna call you tomorrow.
Well, there you go. We'll send you some. Try it out. What we do is we sell it in a concentrate. So a gallon makes 5 gallons, 5 gallons makes 25. So the protocol for staining contractors is you mix it 4-to-1 in a 2-gallon pump-up sprayer, and that's what you use for general cleaning. If you get it on vinyl siding, you get it on your car, your work truck, this will take it right off. If you spill it on concrete or you get in a mess, you also keep a 1-gallon pump-up sprayer of the pure concentrate, and that will take it off anything. It's good stuff.
So I know because I passed the test, Anthony. That, I'm not rubbing it in.
How many times you gonna throw that in my face? I didn't even know we had to take a test.
Oh, okay. It's a university. You got to take tests to graduate. Anyway, so I know, but how do you apply your chemicals?
With cleaning chemicals, you can use some guys downstream, some guys X-Jet. Pump up sprayer, 12-volt systems, all of it works. It's not nearly as hard on pumps as straight bleach is, so you tend to get a pretty long life out of 12-volt pumps. And so pretty much I cleaned the decks at my house over Christmas break. I used a 5-gallon bucket with cleaner and a brush. I brushed it on. I didn't want to get a truck out while it was cold, So yeah, you can pretty much do anything.
I didn't know it was that concentrated. You could downstream. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to, if you've got something like really old and really black, you're going to want to go with a stronger mix. You could X-Jet it on there for sure. But if you're doing just maintenance washes on fences 2 or 3 years old, yeah, guys downstream a lot.
Good to know. Good to know.
Good.
So let's for people that's just popping in, the event is March
4th and 5th, right outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
Which is a horrible place to visit. I'm just saying.
Last time we was up there, it was raining and cold, Trudy.
Well, yeah, it was snowing the other time.
Well, it was 60 degrees today, so I'm thinking it's going to be really nice weather this year.
Yeah, no. I mean, we've been up there quite a few times, and usually the weather's beautiful. The roads are horrible, by the way, but everything else is gone. I thought I was going to have to get new teeth as a chattering over those roads. Bad roads. Jeez.
Well, that was probably driving through Georgia. Our roads aren't too bad. There's worse out there.
No, it was in Tennessee, and the guy just drove like a bat out of hell. He was our Uber driver from the airport and taking these roads, and we were holding on for dear life. And it was, I guess it's because of all the salt and stuff from the snow up there. But
probably a bad Uber driver. I've had more than one Uber driver that drives like they're in Bangladesh or somewhere, It's like
hitting potholes. I thought we were going to fly out the seat. That's when my head hit the top a couple of times. But no, it's a great place. I've been up there a few times with you, and we are available those 2 days, just so you know. Not gonna say anything else, but you know what I'm talking about. And but it is a great class. I've learned so much. I've done it twice because I got 2 of these, Anthony, and he hates me doing this.
You don't get another one.
Okay,
how many tests she takes?
Oh, I'm not going to get that.
She gets the PhD next time.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make her head go real big. Yeah.
So no, it is very informative. The networking is amazing. The speakers that you've had every time I've been to one of your events is just unbelievable. I mean, I have learned so much, and I have brought it home with me, and I've put it in play. I know one time you had somebody speaking up there about branding, and I was already doing it, but I didn't know I was doing it because they brought our booths and like, hey, look, that's what she does. She's got all her same brand and branding, and it was just amazing that you have these guys, and it doesn't even matter what industry you're in, you can take it home and use it. It's great information. These guys are so knowledgeable and so experienced that it's mind-blowing, even for people that's been in it for a long time.
Well, a lot of people that you ask them, what are you doing what's the next step to grow your business? And a lot of times they're going to say, well, I'm going to get that new sprayer, I'm going to get that new truck. But what they're not really thinking about is the systems and the things that it takes, the infrastructure in your business to make it grow and make it work while you're sleeping, right? And so that's the things we like to talk about, because we know everybody likes the tools, especially the men. We want to touch the tool. We want the newest thing, right? But if you want to build something that can be generational and change things, you have to build your home on a foundation of rock, right? And so
Right.
we want to introduce those ideas to people on year 1, not on year 20, right? So we want to help people do in 1 year what it took us 10 years to do. And so that's
Right.
the whole idea. And that's that's the collective of everybody that comes. Everybody has that mindset.
So we have Tyler Haley on. He said, I've used Stain and Seal Experts and been to their shop. We added the service this year, and Stain and Seal Experts helped me so much. We made $15K or more just from adding staining. So congratulations, Tyler.
There you go. Thanks, Tyler.
Good deal.
That's good news.
Also, Eric wanted to know, would the cleaner work on water-based stains?
Yeah, I saw that comment. I have clarifying questions, so I'll answer it a couple ways. Yes, you can clean just like with bleach. You can if you're just cleaning the surface and not trying to remove stain, you can clean any type of water-based stain with this. We also have strippers, both caustic strippers, butyl booster additive. You can add to stripper to make it strip water-based, and we've got a new. It's going to be an eco stripper, so it won't burn your skin or anything, but it'll take any kind of paint or stain off. So we got you pretty much covered on the water-based side too.
Nice.
Temperature wise, is it got to be a certain temperature before you can apply the stain? Or
yeah, so most people that are in the staining business that use stains, they're pretty limited by a lot of stains can't be used in direct sunlight or above 80 or 90 degrees, and they can't be used below 50 degrees and some below 40 degrees. With penetrating oil-based stains like we make, you can use them in any temperature and any sunlight. So if it's 110 degrees in direct sunlight, you can use it. There's no chance of, because we don't have all the added solvents, the solvent's not going to evaporate before the stain can penetrate, which is called flash drying. You're not going to get any flash drying, and also we don't have, it's not combustible, spontaneously combustible like a lot of oil stains. You've heard of people throwing a rag in the back of their truck and it gets hot. A lot of stains, flash points around 90, 97 degrees. Our flash points closer to 350 or 400 degrees. So heat's no problem. And then wintertime staining is actually great because in most places the humidity is way lower in the winter. So the wood's actually, it's colder out, but the wood's actually drier. So it absorbs more stain. Right. So with oil-based, you can, if you're brave enough to get out and do it, it will be fine. So you can stain in 20-degree weather. We got guys staining with snow on the ground. The only thing is you need to make sure that the wood's dry.
Now, do you have to, when you put a new deck down or a new fence, do you have to let it set for 6 months to a year before you stain it?
Well, that used to be the case because the treatment process was so strong. You know, they had so many chemicals. It took a long time for the wood to really open up. Probably 10 years ago, Yellowwood, everybody's heard of Yellowwood. They put out a video and a recommendation that you should stain your new fence within 2 to 3 days of installation. Your fence, deck, whatever. Yellowwood should be stained within 2 to 3 days. I tend to disagree with that slightly because the wood's very wet. What we want is we want the moisture content to be right. So if you don't have a moisture meter, you can touch the wood, the fence, or the deck. And if it feels cool to the touch, it's probably wet. If it just feels dry and it feels kind of room temperature, then the wood's probably dry. You can do a water penetration test, so you can sprinkle some water on and see if it soaks in. That would tell you the wood's dry and ready. Or you get you a $20 moisture meter, you stick it in the wood. It'll tell you you're looking for 13% or less moisture content. That usually takes, with cedar, it's going to happen quickly, the next day. The sun gets on it, it's dry. With treated pine, that's usually about a 3-week window. About 3 weeks after it's installed, go ahead and stain it. If it's a covered deck, you may give it a little longer because it's not getting that sun exposure, but pretty quick. You can stain a lot faster than you think. We tell everybody, if you're buying a fence or a deck, go ahead at the same time and schedule the staining with it. And about by the time the deck gets built and we get to your schedule, it'll be time to do it.
Awesome.
You mentioned flash dry.
Yep.
That y'all is different than any other that you don't have that. Is that like because the others is thinner and yours is more
the
thicker?
Reason so solvents are used to carry the stain in a lot of products, and solvents flash, they evaporate, and the hotter it is, the faster they evaporate. And so the the vehicle that carries the stain into the wood, if it dries up before the pigment and the sealer can get into the wood, then it's left on the surface and you'll have kind of a powdery, film or something, there's nothing you can do with it. It's a big problem down in places like Texas. But with a stain that's using oil for the carrier, it doesn't evaporate. So you can play with it as long as you want. So it's, you're just not going to get that flash drying like you would get with water-based. Water-based is terrible about it. You use a water-based stain, water is the carrier. And you know how fast water will dry up when it's 100 degrees and you put it on a hot surface. It's quick.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry.
Go ahead.
I want to say I was washing the sidewalks in the subdivision for about 5 years ago, and I looked and there's smoke coming out of this garage, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh! So I grab it, I hit my Flow Pro, turn my chemical off, let the water run out. I go in there because I don't want to hit this. There's a garbage can. The guy was in there staining cabinets and was throwing his rags into the trash can. So I went in there and I sprayed it. I didn't want to do high pressure because it would, and then could have caused more issues or the fire to spread. But I was able to get the fire put out, and then screaming upstairs for the guy. And then the guy that hired us to do the subdivision came over, and I told him what happened. And I mean, it was like that quick because it was like 89 degrees outside. And he was just throwing rags on top of rags in a plastic trash can in a garage. And I was just like, that is so scary.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a big liability. A lot of guys that stain and use other products, that it's not uncommon for their shop to burn down. I know a guy, he's had 3 trucks burned down over a 20-year career, and it's a dangerous thing. So we want to take that risk away from people. And part of the name Expert Stain and Seal, Expert Professional Wood Care is the name of the company. Expert Stain and Seal is one of the brands. Anybody can be an expert. So a lot of guys are going, I don't know, this looks complicated. It's as easy as washing a sidewalk. It's really easy. You can get incredible results. All you got to do is get the stain on the wood. It'll do the work for you. Fences, it runs down and levels itself out. On decks, you put it on, you brush it in, and if they're 30 minutes after, I tell everybody, load your truck up when you get the job done, put your tools on the truck, go back and look at the deck. If it's still shiny in a few spots, just take a rag and wipe it off and then hit the road. You want to leave a nice matte finish when you're done. And it's really simple, and you'll be surprised how good it will look on your first time, as long as you can't be a knucklehead, right? But you got to, if you pay attention and you do a good job, it'll be a lot easier than you think.
Cool. So if I had this customer and say we stained her deck and then went back for some reason and she wanted her house washed. I know it sounds backwards.
Yep.
But with your stain, and how cautious would we have to be with the SH to your stain?
Well, it depends on who you're talking to. Are you slinging 12% on the house, or are you doing a 2% wash or 1%? I would say use good sense. If it's a 5-year-old stain on the deck, you probably want to pre-wet it and maybe mask it, maybe even just cover it up, throw a tarp over it or something. If you just stained it last week, I'd probably follow the same precaution. If you can keep the deck totally saturated with water, you probably be okay. But you just want to be careful.
So Eric said, I've seen old stain drip after getting wet over time. Does indicate that the staining process was applied incorrectly.
If it's old stain, what you're probably seeing is the binder, which is the sealer, has lived out its life, and you're left with just pigments that are no longer bound into the wood grain. And so when it gets wet, you're probably seeing some drips. Or you could be seeing, if you were using chemical, you could be seeing tannin coming out of the wood, which is a dark color. So it could look like stain, but it could be tannins.
How long is your product good for on shelf life?
The shelf life is so, again, part of our trying to make things better to use. There are some products that could sit on the shelf for 50 years because they have tons of additives in them. We tend to work with contractors. When a contractor buys a product, he uses the product. Right. So our product is not designed to sit on the shelf for 5 years. If we sell a product to somebody and if let's say it sat in their garage for 3 years and it went bad, we just replace it. It's real simple. But the lifespan on our products is going to be quite long sitting on a shelf.
So
Good.
would you know if it went bad? I mean, just have them.
Generally,
I hear it said that you would know.
if it's sealed in a bucket, generally you're not going to run into any issue. The way our stain dries is by oxidization, not by evaporation. So what that means is if you've opened a can up, just kind of like everybody's bought some paint before, used half of it, put it in their garage, and 5 years later it's a solid piece of thing. The same thing can happen with our pigments. It could if you left a half used can with the lid cracked on it for 5 years, it'd probably set up hard and wouldn't mix back up. But if that issue happens, we just replace it. It's less than 0.25%, so we just replace it.
And you have in your stain, I should have brought one of your little sample things, but you have how many colors now?
Across all of our stains, I think we have 25 or 27 colors.
I'm going to say 20,
and they all intermix. You can intermix any of them, so you kind of got unlimited choices.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot to choose from.
There's a lot of them.
And that's really too many to choose from.
Yeah.
Markets are different. In California, the redwoods, the oranges are really popular. In Tennessee, it's more medium browns, right? In Texas, it's medium browns. So up north, it's going to be Cape Cod grays and things like that. I recommend if you're getting into it, you stock 3 colors.
Yeah.
You pick a light, a medium, and a dark, and whatever's popular in your market. If you don't know, call us. We'll tell you. We know what's popular in every state, and you keep those in stock. And then anything else, if they want it, just tell them it's a special order and just charge them a few extra bucks for shipping or something. What you're trying to do is you're trying to build yourself an inventory that you can work out of and not wind up with 50 random buckets of strange colors at the end of the year. There's a lot of people that do that, and then they sell a Frankenstein at a discounted price at the end of the year. They just mix it all together. Whatever it makes, they do it. But you can avoid that by just limiting your customers' color choices.
Yeah, we have 3, and we did have a special order, I think 2 years ago, and they were black.
Yeah.
So we had the black.
Oh, black's popular. Even in privacy fences now, we're seeing black fences go up everywhere.
Crazy. I was so surprised. I'm like, you want a what? He said, I need a black fence.
Yeah, and it's so black. It looks like a hole in the world. It looks like a black hole.
Yeah. So what all sizes can you get this like in pints, quarts, gallons, 5? I know you can get it in 5 gallon.
Yeah, so we're an exterior product. So our common sizes are 1 gallon cans and 5 gallon buckets. If you get a large project, we can do totes or drums as well. But we don't recommend that for everybody because it takes pretty heavy equipment to move it and to mix it like that. So buckets are the vast majority of what contractors are using today.
And it does go far. I mean, a 5 gallon bucket does go far.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's basically 50 feet of privacy fence for a bucket of stain. A gallon will cover about 10 feet of fence on both sides. And so in decks, you're looking about 200 square feet per gallon.
So if you're doing one side, they ain't worried about their neighbor. You're going to do 100 foot.
Yeah, you could. But we always recommend doing both sides.
Yeah, we had to, when Shane had our fence built, he gave us the ugly side because we have a pool. So because of the insurance, you can't have the pretty side because they could climb the fence and something could happen. So yeah, we had to do our fence, and it's a huge fence, and both sides. And I was like, oh, but
so when you do both sides, you're protecting both sides, right?
Yeah.
You don't, and particularly with wood, if you were to stain one side and not the other, when it rains, the side that's stained is going to dry out very slowly. The side that's not stained is going to dry out quickly. So you're going to get some movement there. But also penetrating stains, the stain's going to penetrate all the way through the wood. So around your knot holes, over the tops of the pickets under, it's going to wick up from the bottom around the edges. So you're going to have a lot of spots on the other side if you use a penetrating stain that the people will see. And so it's good to do both sides when you can.
So I've also noticed after staining our deck that it doesn't get, Florida, our state flower should be mildew. It's crazy. But I have noticed that it doesn't get mildewy as quick as the fence on the warehouse side that, we didn't stain because we're going to replace it. And I see it getting more mildew on the unstained fence than I do on the stained fence.
Yeah, that's because there's nothing in our stain that can feed mold. A lot of stains or paints, not so much in paints anymore. It was kind of in the old days. There's linseed oil is used in a lot of paint or a lot of stains. Linseed oil is the thing that causes the fires because it has that low flash point. But it also is a food for mold and mildew. So if you use linseed oil, it's going to mold and mildew like crazy. We don't have that in our stain. So you can rest assured that using this stain, you're not going to have mold and mildew grow. Now, if you're in a really shady or wet area, you can get some mold to grow on the surface of the stain, but it'll wash right off. What we don't want is mold growing within the stain because you can't get that out.
So what you're saying is if you're a pressure washer, you should buy some linseed oil, just spray all the houses around you to help the mold grow so you can make more money. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I didn't know about linseed, but no, don't do this. Do not try that at home. I was just joking. But no, that's great information. I mean, that's a good way to upsell. If you're a washer and you're washing the house and you're cleaning their fence, is a good way to upsell it is because they're not going to have to clean it as often. That's good.
Well, if you do the math, we're really into this. We're nerds because this is what we do, right? So the average fence in America today lasts 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
That is the average from the industry of it's their numbers, right? We didn't make that number up. That's the industry's number. When you stain and seal a fence, you can extend the life out to 20 plus years. And so when you look at the added, a lot of people go, well, it's going to cost more money to maintain it and keep it looking nice. But if you combine that added maintenance cost with the price of the installation and spread that out over 20 years, that may be $200 a year. Where if you spread it out, just the installation cost over 7 years, that might be $1,000 a year cost to own that. So when you're selling that service to people, are we talking price or are we talking cost? And we generally try to educate people and talk about the long-term savings of taking care of something, right? If you change the oil in your car, it's going to be a lot cheaper to own that car than if you don't, right? And have to get a new one every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, we always educate people, and we always educate people to educate their customer, because if the customer doesn't know, the customer has no idea, when they're trying to lowball you on a job, they don't know how much your insurance, your equipment, your time, the chemical, everything costs. So education is, if you're upfront with the customer and you let them know, this is what I do, this is the process, this is what we do, this is what's going to happen to your fence or your deck or your home or whatever you're doing. The more information and education you give that homeowner, the more likely you're going to land that job.
It's true. I'm always a proponent of selling with education as opposed to pressure. Do it today and it's 30% off, right? I don't believe in that. Now it works for some people, and it works or people wouldn't do it. But I feel like if we just tell the customer when we're doing a sales call, because we have the service business to them, we're in the shirt tonight. When our team's selling a customer or doing a quote, consultation, what have you, we're going to tell them based, who we are. This is our process. Here's why we're using this product and why it's good for your wood. And here's what's going to happen if you don't use that, and here's the things it's going to prevent. Here's what the maintenance is going to look like. Here's our process, for us to do for us to come out and do it. We'll come the first day and we'll clean and brighten it. And 2 or 3 days later, when the moisture content's right, we're going to come back and stain it. And we say to get on our calendar, we take a 50% deposit, an approval signature on the contract, and a signature or an initial by your color choice. We want to know what your color is. And we can start on the 27th or the 3rd. Which one of those days would work better? And pretty much that's it. There's no high pressure. It's just here's who we are. Here's what we're doing. Here's why you need us.
And sign here.
And and this is it. Let's get it done.
Awesome. So if you want to get one of these,
oh my God,
then you need to show up in Lebanon, Tennessee, March 4th and 5th to the Stain and Seal Experts University, or is that Staining University? You will get so much education, not only about staining. You're going to get so much more. So we are out of time. So Caleb, if you want to talk a little bit more about that event real quick and see us off, I'd appreciate it. Yeah,
well, the certificate's great, right? But what you're really walking away with, if you come with open eyes, is you're going to be fired up and inspired to go back to work, right? You're going to be excited. It's the kickoff of the season, but you're also going to have people and ideas in your head that can help you scale your business and get to the next level, whatever that next level is. And so I encourage everybody to come. StainingUniversity.com is the place to find it. It's Lebanon, Tennessee. It's a great place, close to Nashville, close to the airports. Lots of food. Somebody said there's no taco trucks. There's definitely going to be taco trucks and barbecue trucks there. So have no fear. You will be well fed. There'll be coffee, all the stuff, and lots of personalities there to come meet and hang out with. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. You are a bundle full of knowledge. I mean, I'm
having fun.
What?
Yeah.
That went by pretty quick.
It did go by quick, but yeah, every time I talk to you or see you, even though I know and I've heard it before, it just, like you said, it just inspires me. I learn. I'm like a sponge for learning. The more I learn, I just get so excited to go out and do stuff. And I want to thank you for your knowledge and your expertise and sharing all that with us tonight. Well,
thank you for what you guys do. You got a lot of people on here watching, a lot of people learning, and I know I will say thanks on behalf of them because they're taking time to watch it because it's important. So thank you guys for having me on the show.
All right, guys.
Let's do it again.
Yes.
See you in March.
Yep.
All right.
Don't go nowhere. We come afterward.
Yeah, I'll send you
do another one before your event. And then you guys, thank you so much. And we will see you next Thursday.
All right. Y'all have a great night.
You
See
too.
you.